Yes, guys, welcome to Chasing Green Arrows. This is FPL Insight. I'm Gianni, the FPL guy, and I'm joined by Dean Jones. Dean, how are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. Welcome back. Welcome back. Very nice to see another face on this screen. It was very strange the other day just staring at myself for an hour. So welcome. How did it all go, mate?
Yeah, it was really good. Thank you. I'm suffering. I'm still suffering. The voice is a bit croaky, very croaky. A lot of alcohol was consumed, a few late nights over the weekend. But yeah, meeting members of the FPL world in person is one of my favorite things to do. So it was a good night.
Oh, wicked. Wicked. Did you see any familiar faces from around here or was it elsewhere?
Oh, do you know what? I saw a lot of guys from Fantasy Football Scout sort of network that watched me on my Scout videos. And I was there and I was saying to them, guys, do you watch me on Chasing Green Arrows? And they were like, oh, yeah, we've heard about that. So I spoke to a few that are kind of perhaps sort of new around.
We're on the radar.
Yeah, on the radar, which is what I'm excited about. And guys in the chat, if any of you were at Fest, maybe one or two of you were, let us know in the chat. I know a lot of our audience are overseas, so understandable. Laura, where were you on Friday? Were you at Fest? I'm not sure.
She was here.
Was she in
in
the chat?
She
could have been on both.
She could have been. That would be very loyal.
Love
very
that,
on brand,
mate. It was as always a fun-packed weekend of football. The game week's still going. We're going to have team news for you in the next 30 seconds of tonight's game. There's still a bit of interest in those 11s. But highlights from the weekend. Oh, here we go. We've got the lineups here. Let's look at tonight. The big news in the Leeds lineup is Rafinha starts. Reece James up front. So Gelhardt, a few hoping he might get a run out as expected on the bench. And then, of course, the Crystal Palace lineup. And look, there's a few out there with the likes of Zaha, perhaps a few with Elise, Mateta. Don't think many are invested in that Palace backline. But yeah, Mateta starts, Zaha starts. And Ayew is on the right instead of Elise, it looks like, Dean. So kind of as expected, really.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. See if Mateta could notch to much in this game. Yeah, I mean, I only really had interest in Rafinha, need him to play. We'll go for our teams in a minute, but it's been an okay week for me. Unfortunately, I'm not beating you this week, so I can't boast about that again. When you were here, I've presumed you weren't on, mate, because I actually beat you during a game week. And that is genuinely the first time it's happened in all the weeks we've been doing this. But yeah, never mind.
I actually had a terrible game week, didn't I? Because I was on my free hit.
Yeah,
and I went without Salah.
Beat Gianni's free hit, and I was like,
"That's outrageous." That is. Did you do me by a fair few? Was it?
I can't remember. It was a fair bit.
10 points or?
Yeah, it was more than that. Yeah.
Man, that sucks. Oh, it's such a bad free hit. Such a bad free hit. Guys, loads of you in the chat tonight. Hello to you all. Welcome. If you're new around here, do give us a like and a subscribe. We do these shows every Monday and Friday. The biggest thing for me, he's in Kenya. You can still come maybe one time. I like that, Chef FPL. That's commitment.
Yeah, I mean, that would be commitment. Now, you had someone from America come, didn't you?
Someone from New Jersey. You couldn't believe it. We did have one from the US last time, but I didn't get to meet him. I just saw the ticket sale was US, him or her. But this time, yeah, Steps FPL, met him, lovely bloke, planned his whole visit round Fest. Is awesome. Yeah, proper commitment.
But that is, that must be weird when you're into a game like this and you're so isolated.
Yeah.
So isolated and cut adrift from the majority of people that are playing this game, because the US is obviously like, there are people that like football, but they're so spread out across the country. It's like our podcast, like with loads of American listeners, but they're not near each other. And in their communities, they don't get to meet each other. So that's cool that he travelled. Sweet.
Love that. So yesterday, the biggest game of the weekend for me was Liverpool beating Everton 2-0, because Liverpool, like, okay, yeah, we're still in the title. We're going for the title. We're not going to slip up, where few thought it was a potential banana skin. But Burnley winning, Everton not winning, it's a tough one. Are Everton favourites to go down now? It's a 3-horse battle, isn't it? It's Leeds could still go down, Burnley and Everton. One of them goes.
Yeah, I personally think Leeds will be all right, but let's see how tonight unfolds. But I thought Burnley were nailed on. I really did. I thought Everton, whenever they got that last-ditch goal last week or the week before, I thought, oh, they're just going to do this and they're going to just stay up. I've got to admit, I said it on here on Friday, I want Everton down because Fulham are coming up, and there's more chance that Burnley are in a relegation battle next season with us than Everton. Like Everton, if they stay up, they get better.
Yeah.
Burnley will probably be similar to where they are now, maybe a little bit better, but they'll probably be catchable. From a Fulham point of view, be happy to see the back of Everton. And you know what? As I said today to someone that is an Everton fan on our podcast, and he was like really like worried about the future and sad. And I'm like, the Championship's great fun. Like, you'll have a great season. You win loads and loads of games. You score 100 goals. It's brilliant fun, and then you get back to come back and do it all. So, yeah, whoever gets relegated, I think you should still be optimistic and just enjoy the ride. It's part of football.
Fair point. Guys in the chat, let us know who your team to go down is. Just need one word from you guys, and then we're going to tot it up. So is it going to be Everton, Leeds, or Burnley? I'm going to throw my hat into the ring on this one. And it's a tough one because I thought Everton had enough. And I still, watching them play yesterday, feel like they've got enough. But when you look at their fixtures, they're not too pretty. I mean, Burnley have got to play Aston Villa twice. And Aston Villa have looked rubbish. You think, there's potentially 6 points there. But, you know, Everton have got home games versus Brentford and Palace. And they win those 2 home games. They're kind of halfway there. They always say go to Vicarage Road. I think it's going to go down to the final day. And I'm going to just back Everton still. I'm going to just back my boy Frank Lampard and hope he can do it. What do you...
That's bold.
We got mixed. We got a lot of Everton on the chat. Tiffany thinks
Everton. None of these managers have got any experience of it.
Yeah.
Like, Burnley are using an interim boss. Frank Lampard's never been down there and done this before. And Jesse Marsch is brand new to the league. So, like, there's no experience to call on here. Frank Lampard's all about determination and doing the basics and hoping it gets you through and someone can come up with a goal. Jesse Marsch is more tactical. Burnley have a team that know what it takes to get through this. That's why I've got a feeling Burnley might get out of this, because they kind of expected to be in this situation and know they can get out of it. I don't know, man. I just wonder if Everton doubt themselves.
It's going to be interesting. I do think it goes down to that final day. If Leeds don't win tonight, they've got City, Arsenal, Chelsea in the next 3, and they could be very much in it. So it's going to be an interesting watch. We've got some questions coming in. Let's have a look. What we got coming in? Okay, from Stephen. Keep Reece James or sell? Oh, Dean, we didn't expect him to be out, did we? He trained. He was pictured in training. But yeah, it just said, Tuchel came out and said like he just wasn't comfortable enough.
Switch to Alonso.
What if you've got both, like me?
Well, I don't know. I don't have a Chelsea players to pick at the moment. Defenders to pick. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I probably would get rid of Reece James at this point, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd be tempted too. I'd look at maybe Man City defence instead.
Yeah, true. Yeah, get on Cancelo if you haven't got him, or even one of the centre back guys.
Yeah. Tiffany wants to know about Eriksen. So Dean, come on, you'll have some intel on this. No, is there any way he could stay? And if he's not staying, who would he be favourites to sign for? Is it Spurs or United or?
Yeah, so he's got his options open at the moment. I mean, I'm just told by people close to it, like, it's extremely unlikely he's staying. There's no need to stay. Like, this was his platform back to the big time. It's helped Brentford. It's helped him. This is really as good as it gets for both parties. Yeah, and unless, like, for some reason none of these offers actually come in, then Eriksen will leave Brentford. If it's top 4, if Tottenham make the top 4, then they're going after Eriksen and Tielemans. United, they like Eriksen. I don't think they're expecting to get Eriksen at this stage. And obviously, we've got to see how their season pans out too. there'll be one or two other clubs still to come in for him too. So he's going to weigh things up at the end of the season.
I think he stays in the Premier League though, which is fun for us FPL fans. Remember, he can't play in Serie A. That's why he left Inter, because of his issue, his medical condition. So yeah, he's taken to a duck to water again at Brentford, hasn't he? Because when he first moved to Italy, he took some settling in. But
yeah, totally. Yeah,
he's so suited to the Premier League, and
yeah, I think
hardest league in the world.
he's loving being back. I think it suits him down to the ground. He wants to be back at this level too. It's just a case of which team now is going to suit him. I think Man United will suit him in some sense under Ten Hag, but then there'll be that underlying doubt about what on earth is going on up there. Do I really want to step into that mess? Because it could just continue under Ten Hag. There's no reason we should expect this guy to be able to work miracles, especially short term. If he gets 4 years, then fine. But like Eriksen hasn't really got 4 years to wait. I think it's probably Tottenham, but let's see.
Yeah. Guys in the chat, keep your questions coming in. We've got a section at the end of the show in like half an hour's time where we'll be answering your questions, but drop them in at any point. Coming up, we've got my eye test report. We've got Dean's notebook. But first, we're going to check out our teams.
Oh, it's me. It's me. Well, you told me to sign Chris Wood a couple of weeks ago.
Oh,
he's now played 3 games and he's got 4 points. So
that was a shocking buy from me as well. He didn't even play against Norwich, did he? In the 3-0 win. Yeah.
So that's annoying. Werner, yeah, I was disappointed he didn't get any points. Foden, I saw someone just asked a question about a Champions League rotation. Yeah, Ramel, will Foden be rotated in Prem for the Champions League ties? And yeah, look, I knew there was a chance in the last game that Foden wasn't going to play, but I'm keeping him in there because like Man City are chasing the title and Foden is going to contribute to that. So I'm not mixing that up, and I'm still disappointed I haven't got KDB. I said on Friday I didn't think KDB would play at the weekend. I didn't think there was any need for KDB to play.
Yeah,
he had a belter, and like I still don't think they necessarily needed to play him in that match.
He came off at 57, didn't he? They were keen to give him an hour.
He's very good at managing minutes, isn't he? Like he knows what he needs because it's not just resting them. He also always feels that they need a certain amount of minutes in their legs to make sure that they're still playing at their optimum level. So I don't keep track of these numbers. So unfortunately, that backfired a bit for me. I mean, hopefully there's a miracle and Rudiger plays against Man United. Hopefully Rafinha has a good game tonight. It's not a very good game week so far, but there's still a few to be played.
We did have a question on Foden, and look, he's someone that I'm probably buying this week. And the reason why, as always, when I buy a Man City player, I look ahead at the fixtures. They have no FA Cup now. They only have 2 games against Real Madrid, and then the Champions League final, which will be after the end of the season. The fixtures aren't that congested for them. The Champions League also, it's not Wednesday, then the Tuesday. It's Tuesday, then the Wednesday. So there's 8 days between the 2 Champions League games. Foden's just had his rest. So Man City fixtures, I was going to tweet about this earlier. So yeah, they play tomorrow, then they play Saturday, then they play next Wednesday. So that's 3 games in 8 days. That's absolutely fine for Foden, who's just had a rest. And then they go back to playing, Sunday against Newcastle, and then they wait a week to play West Ham, and then they wait a week again to play Aston Villa. These players are used to playing twice a week. When they go down to once a week, Foden, KDB, Bernardo Silva, they're the 3 City attacking players that will probably play every game now. Laporte, Cancelo, same again. So I think you can go there.
Yeah.
It's not like Liverpool, is it? Where you go, oh, so many fixtures.
No, it's not. You are right. It does make a difference there. And I had forgotten about the gap between those 2 ties. That is a fair point. There's no reason why Foden can't now play, especially as he has just been rested. Like that's his rest. He's had it. So maybe now we're good. Hopefully. We need it. I need it. Thanks, Mohammed, by the way.
I know,
good to have you back, Gianni.
There.
I am the new expert.
Cheers, dude. Have I caught you yet in our mini league, Mohammed? Are you still topper chasing? Is that PS5 still yours? I can't remember.
He's not top, mate. No, he's not. We actually had a guy in the other day, Abzi, who was top, and there's another guy in here. Here he is, Abzi, just popped up now saying you need to sell Rudiger. Yeah, I do actually. But he was top, and there's another guy, Steve, who was right hot on his tail. He was about 8-9 points behind him. Mohammed had dropped a little, but he still got hope. So let's see if there's any twists and turns.
Oh, yeah, Rudiger. Before we have a look at my team in 30 seconds' time, guys, let's get Dean's take on Rudiger, because we know he's off now. Do you think that will affect his minutes? Is it now Chelsea, as soon as that top four is sewn up, is it game week 37 and 38? Let's say it's sewn up. We need to prepare for life without Rudiger. So, and he's also injured. What do you reckon?
So. No, I don't think so. I think if he's fit, he'll play. Like, he's still one of their best players. Tuchel's he's known about this for a while. Like, I've been reporting this for months. Like, suddenly at the weekend, like, it's reported that Rudiger's going. I mean, I've been told for months that Rudiger's going. I've said it on here about 10 times. You know, there was a breakdown in communication with the people negotiating on terms for Chelsea. That's all on the back of another client of his representatives, that there was bad feeling from another deal, and it carried on into the Rudiger deal, and it was always unlikely. Chelsea weren't going to pay him the sort of money he wanted. I mean, Rudiger's getting a high signing on fee wherever he goes next. It's likely to be Real Madrid. You know, he's weighed it up. He's 29. He's got the chance to go to Real Madrid. He'll be in a chase to win La Liga. He'll be in the chase to win the Champions League. Probably be playing with Mbappe next season. Why not? You know, I think he was quite open-minded about it. He loves Chelsea, so I think he will get the chance to see it out. So I might keep him. You know, depends how bad this injury is. Like, it depends.
Yeah,
what the next update is.
Yeah. He's been a good servant. I'm gutted he's leaving, but yeah, I'm happy for Nuclear Atoms. And Nuclear, when I look, it's the world's worst kept secret, wasn't it? As Dean says, he's been mentioning Real Madrid and Rudiger for months. But I was very happy to see for you that you're getting your man, because I know you're a big fan. I know you're a massive Real Madrid fan. Let's move on to check out my team. I'm on a little red arrow this week, but I do still have a few players to play. I need another 3 points to get a green arrow on the average.
Should be right then.
Yeah, I think so. With Rafinha playing tonight, I mean, I hope he can get me 3 points. So if we can, we'll just show my team now on screen. And if not, that's fine. We can move on, and I can talk about my team, because I captain Havertz, Dean, and I was really hopeful that yesterday was going to get something. He'd had a little rest, and he didn't even really look like scoring, to be fair. He's got one more game though.
Yeah, I mean, this is all part of the strange Chelsea story that's unfolded this season. I mean, Chelsea signed Romelu Lukaku as the missing piece to compete with Liverpool and Man City at the top end of the Premier League, and Lukaku's a bit part player now, and Havertz is the number 9. That's how badly that transfer went. But Havertz has been really, really good, and I know a few people pointing out to me on Friday, like, you still going with Salah? Are you not tempted to switch to Havertz? And I was like, I'm not switching from Salah for the rest of this season, at least. We'll see next season. I was like, I just think he'll get as many points as Havertz will over 2 games, or at least won't be far off. And Havertz just didn't deliver. We'll still see. He's got one more game. But I just always back Salah, you know that.
Yeah, he looked bright enough yesterday, Salah. At the end, I thought he was going to win a penalty in the 93rd minute. Someone came in from Everton on a tackle on, I think it was Diaz, and I was like, no foul, no foul, no foul, just thinking it'd be so Mo Salah to go home with double digits yet again. But yeah, he got the clean sheet, he got the assist. It was all right.
I mean, Chelsea, look, they've got such poor home form, and I mean, they just haven't taken their chances this season. They've just let so many chances go begging. They haven't been ruthless enough. It's one thing that they're going to have to overturn next season if they're going to get back in that title hunt.
Yeah. Cool, guys. I'll update you more on my game week on Friday. So do check out Friday's show. Here we go. We got it on 49 points. Look, my biggest win is Saka and Alonso. Saka doesn't feel like a win because at my rank, he's something like 95% owned. Alonso at my rank is something like 19% owned. So I was very happy with that. That was a useful 10. But what really killed me was Robertson, who's around 50% owned at my rank, and he went and got 15 points. So I'm looking at it going, can I find a way of getting Robertson in? I don't think there is. I've got a little bit of money in the bank, but I don't think I want to make sales just yet. Reece James could go, but I don't have enough to go Reece James to Robbo, and I really want to get Foden for the reasons I mentioned earlier about that City rotation. I'd love KDB. He's impossible for me to get unless I sell Kane, but then that's 2 transfers. And I think the next best thing is either Bernardo Silva or Foden. Get one of them.
So who will you take out?
I think I'm going to take out Rafinha. As much as
Yeah.
I like him, those next 3 games
Oh yeah,
are
fair, yeah.
tough. City, Arsenal, Chelsea. I just can't see big points there, if any. So I think he's got a double in 36, Rafinha, as well. His doubles Arsenal, Chelsea, though, whilst Foden has a double of, well, Newcastle and probably Wolves. That's not been dropped in yet, but City are very likely to double in 36, if not 37.
Yeah. I need to figure that out. I've got a bench booster player, so I'll probably go in 36. We'll figure that out on Thursday, Friday. James to Robbo.
I'm just
we've got a
checking
bit
to
of
see if
cash
I've got
left
the
as well.
money. I've got 1.9. So if I go James out, I'm doing it. I've got 8. Yeah, I have got enough
You
for
have
that.
enough.
I have got enough. I still really want a City attacker.
Oh yeah.
As good as Robertson's been, that would be like the defensive move. Get Robbo. Everyone at my rank owns him. No one at my rank really owns Foden. I just think there's upside there. Knowing he got the Watford rest and City are starting to score goals big again, I kind of want them. Tiffany's got a question about Spurs, Dean. I'm going to come to you on this. Looking a bit tasty after Leicester, but are they a trap? I mean, Harry Kane's record against Leicester is phenomenal, but the last 2 games show us Spurs are struggling.
Yeah, it's impossible to read this because there's no form or like consistency to judge. Just as we thought Tottenham were back to being good, they lost a silly game or dropped silly points, against Brentford. And it's so hard to back. I mean, Harry Kane, I think, is a fair bet. As you say, as a good Leicester record, Leicester have almost all focus now on Europe. Suddenly, a competition they'd never heard of is now everything to them. So I do think, like, from an attacking sense, like Kane and one other to get a potential combination is good if you can. But I wouldn't be desperate. Like, don't go out of your way to find Tottenham assets, I wouldn't say.
Yeah, I'm the same. And question on my tip. He's been brilliant and he gets bonus points. Look, he's a huge saving. Matip is considerably cheaper than Van Dijk, who's again cheaper than the Robbos and your Trents. So you still get good Liverpool cover.
Actually.
Yeah, and they'll give you a little bit more to do elsewhere in terms of like spend.
We'll see,
Let's check out my favourite part of Monday shows, which is Dean's Notebook.
Silly picture. Right. Anyway, the first player I want to talk about is Eddie Nketiah, because this is very interesting from an FPL point of view and a news agenda point of view, which obviously is my thing, transfers. Nketiah's contract up at the end of the season at Arsenal, weighing up what to do here. Arsenal, I think, would like to keep him. Nketiah's at the stage of his career. He wants to play. He wants to know how he fits in. At the moment, he's in there. He's got the forward shirt at Arsenal. He's waited a long time for this. Lacazette decided in the final year of his contract that he was going to start playing. Not helpful for Nketiah. Got 13 points against Chelsea. And it was like, okay, here we go. Let's see how he goes. And then he gets 2 points as Arsenal beat Man United 3-1. But you now look at the last 5 games of the season. It's not a bad run in Arsenal have got. West Ham away. Obviously, West Ham have got European football. And they've got Leeds, Tottenham, Newcastle and Everton. There's a nice run of games for him. A way for him to earn his future at Arsenal or elsewhere, whichever one it ends up being. So he's got a lot of motivation to finish on a high. Might even end up being Arsenal's striker for those 5 games.
Yeah.
Would you pick him? He's owned by 2% of people. It's a bold one. That
I told
consider,
Kelly Summers last week, who was on a wild card going into off the back of those 13 points, looking for a budget forward. Friend of the show, Kelly Summers, massive into her FPL, as you guys know, and she went Nketiah, and I was like, that's it, absolutely the move I'd be doing. The only concern with him is if you've got a bench boost still to play and you can't afford those enablers not to be getting minutes, he's only one bad game away from being dropped, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
But he looked all right. He looked good again against, he was unlucky not to get his goal just offside, and then Saka got the penalty from it. But
I'd like to believe
he looks better than Lacazette.
That's the thing. I'd like to believe that Arteta's going to give him another chance. I would. I think especially against A team like West Ham, who literally have no defenders. You know, they've got no one to pick. So Nketiah, I'd be like, right, he's hungry, he's looking good, he's fitting in with the team. He knows the young players working around him. He needs one goal, and this might be it. So I'd give him another shot. He's definitely one to consider, I think. And then he's got that double after West Ham, Leeds at home, Spurs away. One of the biggest games left of the season, Tottenham versus Arsenal on game week 36. Massive fixture that basically, well, it's going to have a big say on who finishes fourth in the league. But yeah, lots to do there.
Yeah, that's a winner takes all, that, isn't it? It feels like a winner takes all, that Arsenal Spurs game.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Nuclear. Just on this question he's got on the screen, a lot of people were asking me. I'd been out for the day on Friday, so I hadn't seen it, but there was a lot of rumor about Jesus joining Arsenal. As Dean, it's looking a strong possibility. Have you in your like? Yeah, I have got information on this, and it's not a strong possibility. It's a possibility. I mean, Jesus has been pushed in Arsenal's direction. Would you be interested in this player? Edu, who's obviously involved in the transfer process at Arsenal, obviously knows Gabby Jesus very well. There are agents working around this deal too, who I think are also Brazilian. It's quite a nice little pathway for Jesus to make that move if he wants to. It's not something that is in open dialogue right now. It's something on the back burner, something to consider. Gabby Jesus, what a way to answer at the weekend for him. Like 4 goals. Not many people had him in their team.
Yeah.
Do I think he's got a future? I think maybe he has, because I think even if they are signing Haaland, Jesus is one of those players that can just fit around anyone. He can step into any of those forward roles. He doesn't really care where he's playing. Doesn't have much of an ego in that sense.
Yeah.
I think he's a player they should be keeping. To be honest, if you had to get rid of someone, from a City point of view, I'd be tempted to get rid of Sterling or Mahrez before I got rid of Jesus. To be honest, I just think that Jesus is more adaptable, less hassle, and might be worth rewarding. So yeah, there's a possibility he joins Arsenal, but it's not a high one at this point.
I like the thought behind it, Nuclear. I mean, Arteta was his assistant manager at City as well, of course. Arteta knows him. He also plays a similar sort of pattern to Pep.
Yeah, they're going to try their luck. I mean, bear in mind too, last summer, Arsenal tried to sign Sterling and Mahrez and failed on both. So let's see if they get over this one. Anyway, the next player I want to talk about, actually 2 players, and they're both at Chelsea. I'll do Pulisic first.
Come on.
Pulisic,
needed that.
He did need that. So I speak to a lot of American fans, American Chelsea fans, and they're all convinced that Thomas Tuchel's got an agenda. He doesn't like Americans, or he doesn't like Pulisic, or that Pulisic's
heard that so many times.
Judged because he's American. And that's nonsense. That is absolute nonsense. Pulisic is a really, really good player. He's not yet deserving of a guaranteed spot in that Chelsea front 3. At one point, maybe a year or so ago, he was on the verge of that. But this season, he does this. He fades out. It gets an injury. It takes him a while to get back, and then boom, he is back, and he hits the ground running, and he'll smash. He'll get a load of points out of him for a few weeks. Then he'll fade away again. Pulisic is brilliant. He'll probably score against England at the World Cup. I'm interested to see what happens with him in these final few weeks and how he considers his future at the end of the season, because I think there'll be a couple of offers for Christian Pulisic. I think that Chelsea will have some big decisions to make in that front line, obviously on Lukaku, but also on Pulisic, possibly on Werner, on Ziyech, on Callum Hudson-Odoi. They get loads of questions asked, but obviously we need this takeover to happen first. And just talking about the takeover, I mean, the final point I was going to make was Antonio Rudiger. We've obviously now spoken about him a bit, but we had him listed as a talking point. I mean, there was a potential here that a takeover happens, and then the new owners had suggested to Rudiger's representatives, like, look, there will be new money available. We will give you more than you were proposed last time around in contract talks with Chelsea. So they were like, okay, we could wait on that. But this takeover, it's going to take a bit longer. Like, even if we find out who the preferred bidders are in the next week or so, which is plausible, we still won't find out like what happens, who takes over, when it's granted, when it's given the green light, for a little while. It's too far down the line to be making decisions like that. And as I said before, Marina Granovskaya is still going to be there. There was a chance she was going to be going with Abramovich. Granovskaya, Rudiger does not go hand in hand. I'm not going to go into all the details right now, but doesn't work out. So that's another reason that Rudiger's not going to be there. FPL River says, I heard Rudiger turned down 230 grand a week. Any truth in that? Some truth in that. I mean, it's not quite right, but it's not far off. But there are other things to take into account. It wasn't quite as much as that. There's signing on fees to consider that he could get elsewhere. There's bonuses he could get elsewhere. There's the fact there was this argument in the background. There's the fact that he quite fancies a new challenge in a new league. Man United really tried to get him too. Wasn't interested in that. At least that's one positive for Chelsea. Nuclear, will Chelsea be able to rebuild their whole backline in one summer? Let's see. I mean, Aspilicueta might leave yet. We've already lost Christensen, losing Rudiger. Asby might go as well. I think that would be shocking to lose Asby. There's nothing you can do about it at this point. Chelsea have messed up. They could have got these guys in the bag before all this tidal wave of Roman stuff came along. Now it's gone.
It's dreadful.
And you've got to wait. You've got to hope and pray that Asby says, look, I'll give you one more year. I don't want to leave you in a mess here. Clearly loves Chelsea. Been there 10 years, whatever. Can't lose him.
It's not like Chelsea have just got rid of two really good young English centre-backs in the last 12 months in Tomori and Gray. Like, I'm absolutely devastated about that. Absolutely devastated.
Tomori was absolutely brilliant for AC Milan on Sunday night against Lazio. He's on his way. He's still competing for a Serie A title. He's going head-to-head with Inter.
Maldini loves him.
Maldini loves him. Tomori's saying, I've learned so much here. I've learned more here than I could ever have learned if I'd have stayed in England in terms of a tactical awareness and positioning. He don't want to come back. No. He's having the time of his life. He's experiencing something he never dreamed he would get. And AC Milan on the verge of a huge takeover too, which would be very exciting. So like you say, Chelsea have made some big, bold decisions in recent times, and nervy times for you, mate. Nervy times.
Honestly, Tomori was one of my favourite young centre-backs. So even watching him at Derby, I was so impressed. I think he should walk into the England 11. Not the England squad. He should walk into the England 11. Stone Shaw should be there. But I can't think of another England centre-back that should be in that 11 over him.
I think so.
Thanks to Zara. I'll get there, mate. I'll get there. It's been a tough weekend.
You sound worse because you've got a croaky voice from Fest. I think people think you're actually on the verge of tears here. Look, having said it, you look dull today. You all right?
Do you know what? It's lack of sleep. The throat's gone from Fest, but also I played football yesterday, so I was shouting for 4 hours. So it just made it worse and worse.
It's good prep for when you have kids, mate.
Yeah, right. Not long yet. 6.5 weeks to go.
Yeah, well, it's a little preview weekend for you.
Yeah, exactly that.
Last blowout.
Guys, look, give us a thumbs up. I think you're right, Dean. I think that might have been the last blowout. I think I've got one more booked in. I've got one more booked in. I've got a stag do in Liverpool, so that'll be big.
Go big, mate.
Guys, give us a like if you're watching for the first time. If you haven't given us a like yet, it helps more people see the channel. Likewise, if you're new around here, don't forget to subscribe. Tiffany, that's right. I'm feeling a little bit frail. I'm also self-isolating from my wife just in case I had got COVID. I haven't. I've been testing every twice, 3 times a day. So yeah, I could do with that hug right now. Cool, guys. Let's move on to. I've been busy this weekend, but I've still somehow watched quite a bit of football. Listened to a lot of football on the radio, but I've watched Match Today for all my eye test reports as well. So let's move on to my eye test. I forgot how good it was listening to football on the radio, and this weekend I got so much sort of radio commentary on Saturday and really enjoyed it. Like the City game,
you actually get good insight as well sometimes into how players are playing and stuff, because they go into so much more detail on assessing their performances because you can't see it. Sometimes I really do enjoy it and actually learn stuff that I go back and check out.
Yeah, I'd talk sport on Saturday for my drives, and then I went 5 live for my Sunday drives.
Nice.
The 6:06 on Sunday with Savage and Sutton I thought it was going to be obviously heavy on Liverpool and Everton. But literally the whole show for 2 hours was just Scousers ringing up. It was brilliant.
Was it?
It was good value. But look, eye test this weekend. I've caught up on all the highlights. For me, there's 3 players I've picked out this week, all are lowly owned players. And first up, I've gone for an Aston Villa player, and that is Ollie Watkins. He hasn't been scoring of late. Aston Villa haven't looked good of late, but they're about to go on an amazing run of games, right? If you don't have chips left, you should absolutely be targeting Aston Villa, and here's why. They play Norwich in 35, and then they have a double-double. So they've got 5 games in 3 game weeks, of which one of them is Norwich. They've got Crystal Palace at home. They've got Burnley at home. They've got Burnley away. The only difficult game in there is Liverpool at home. But they play Burnley twice and Palace at home and Norwich at home. Like, I'm looking at Villa players thinking, who can I get? And the easiest transfer for me is Coutinho, because I've got a couple of midfielders I could move on. I could go Rafinha to Coutinho. But I really want to get Ollie Watkins, and I don't quite know how yet. But he's been so involved. Gerrard has made it very clear that he's the main man. He gets a huge amount of touches. Gerrard said he played really well at the weekend. He said all his performance needed was a goal. And I just think he could go big against Norwich. And then, he's not playing the best defence in Burnley or Palace after that either. So I look at Ollie Watkins and think 8.1% owned. He's someone that can shoot you up your mini leagues. And yeah, Desire is saying Matt Cash, he's the standout defender as well. Like, we know Gerrard wants his fullbacks high. We saw that at Rangers, and we've seen that both in Dean, but mainly with Cash as well.
Yeah, now, I mean, they do
go on, Dean.
Concede quite a lot of goals, like
they do, don't they?
I mean, there's the 4 against Spurs. Wolves bagged a couple against them, didn't they? West Ham got a couple recently. They do look like this team's a bit lost at the moment. Is one fear I have.
Yeah.
But like, they have been in bad form for a few weeks. When was their last win? Leeds, game week 28, I think, was their last win. Like, that can't continue.
That's bad.
Aston Villa can't go the rest of this season without a win. And Gerrard will somehow find a spark in this team to ignite. And Coutinho will come to life again. I mean, he wants to play for Aston Villa next season. And something's got to give here, because either he starts putting in performances that show he's going to be worth the 200 grand a week or whatever he wants. And Aston Villa will pay the 30 million for him. Or they're not going to be able to take that punt on him. Like, they can't sign Coutinho because he's going to get 7 good games a season. So I do think you're right. Like, there has to be some life left in Villa this season. A lot of them are playing for their future at the club. Coutinho, Cash, Watkins, all plausible assets there.
Yeah. I have a chip left, so I'm free hitting in 37, where I will probably go double or triple Villa. So I might therefore go without Villa in my normal team. It does mean I don't get to maximise that Norwich fixture or the double in 36. Yeah. But if you don't have a free hit left, I think definitely keep an eye on Villa.
Yeah.
Cash for James if he doesn't play, or Laporte, or keep James. Eddie, wait for those press conferences on Reece James. We might see him put in a right wing back display against Man United when you see enough in him to want to hold. The fixtures with Chelsea out the Champions League aren't too bad. So we shouldn't see mass rotation unless guys are injured. So maybe keep on him. But yeah, moving off Villa, but staying with Chelsea, and with Chelsea wing-backs, looking at Alonso. I bought in Alonso last week, got the assist, got a couple of bonus points. Delighted with that move. And look, a few weeks ago, I wouldn't have touched Alonso. He was in and out the team. Tuchel was experimenting with Sarr at left back in a 4. Alonso, when he was playing poorly. But the last month, including both games against Real Madrid, Alonso has looked really, really good. And again, at the weekend, like from the highlights I saw, I think he was one of Chelsea's best players. And he came up with the assist. They still look fairly solid at the back at the weekend. Like, West Ham didn't really have a sniff. And I just think at 5.5 million, you've got yourself an FPL player with the highest pedigree. Like, on his day, he's a Robbo, a Cancelo, or a Trent, and he's 5.5. So I think you can take a risk with Alonso. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts every game between now and the end of the season. What do you reckon, Dean?
Yeah, 100%. I think he'll start. Someone asked this earlier. Well, is he nailed on for a place in his team? And he has to be, doesn't he? I mean, He has to be. He's going to play. And he is good going forward. Like, he's not... Sounds stupid saying he's not a brilliant footballer, because he obviously is. He plays in the Premier League. But, like, you watch him and you're like, oh, this isn't great. But from an FPL point of view, he will come up with those moments that make a difference in the final third. comes out of some really nice cutbacks, nice low crosses, might even weigh in with a goal here and there. If Chelsea keep a clean sheet, gets those points too. So, yeah, he's definitely going to be one that people lump on in these final few weeks, I think.
Yeah. We'll move on just to my last one, and that's KDB. Look, if you can afford any Man City player, of course you go KDB. Like, the fixtures are too good and they're well spread out. And look, for those of you that have just joined in the last 5-10 minutes and didn't hear me say, the Man City fixtures don't look bad at all in terms of rotation. Why? Well, they're quite well spread out. So the Champions League game goes Tuesday and then the following Wednesday, so 8 games between. They play Leeds in the middle of that. And then they've got like a week between their Premier League games because remember, they're out the FA Cup. So, look, I don't think we're going to see huge rotation. And KDB, Foden, and probably Bernardo Silva are the 3 attacking players I think will start all of those Premier League games for FPL. Then you put in Cancelo and Laporte in the mix, and you've got 5 really nice Man City options. If money's no issue, though, it's always KDB, isn't it, Dean, over Foden, if you can afford it?
Of course, yeah, it has to be. It was my against the obvious for the week, and which is still fine. Like I think you could live without KDB last week. Still, like wasn't worth forcing into your team, but his performance is just ridiculous. His assists, I mean, they don't make sense. Like the way this guy can cross a ball, it's like he's invented a new way to kick a ball. It's like it's so flat, but it's arced, it's perfect, and he loves coming up with those moments, especially when it really matters. Like he's just magic. He is the one that's going to decide City's season. He's just unbelievable. Tech says worth selling Spurs assets to afford KDB, possibly after Spurs face Leicester. Yeah, things reasonable. I guess if you were to switch out Son or something in order to get KDB, then yeah.
If you've got Son. If you've got Kane, it's difficult because it's 2 transfers and we just don't have that luxury, and I don't think it's worth the hit. But Son to KDB in 36, if City double in 36, it'll be like Newcastle Wolves versus the Spurs double, which is Liverpool Arsenal. Like, no brainer, you make that move. Guys, thank you all for watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're new around here. Look, we've still got 15 minutes left. The good news is you haven't joined too late. We're going to be answering your questions. But first, we've got FPL Visa.
Where we put you under the spotlight, mate, and you earn your money. So FPL Visa, for those of you new, we propose a player in each position to Gianni, and we say accept, reject, or delay. What would he do at this stage of the season with these assets? And the first one we're going to go with is a goalkeeper, and it is Fabianski. What would you do with Fabianski, mate?
Yeah, look, the focus is on Europe, and whilst he looked pretty good and penalty saves are brilliant in FPL, we know that, and he's only 2.7% owned. I think he concedes against Arsenal. He might keep a clean sheet against Norwich, but he definitely concedes against City, and he probably concedes against Brighton on the last day. 4 games left, no doubles. Easy reject for me, guys.
Oh, easy reject. Fair enough. Yeah, I totally understand your reasoning now. Desire says reject. FPL River says reject. Those guys don't normally get it wrong. Nuclear Atom says reject. No double, not much fight for EPL. Yeah, exactly that. Laura weighs in too with a reject. So it's the big elbow for Fabianski in this game week. Great player, but not a great FPL player. Let's move on to the defense. I don't think there's much more discussion to be had there. We're going to go with a player you've already mentioned today, Robertson. What would you do with Robbo if you were offered him right now? Accept him, reject him, or delay him?
Yeah, look, is he going to be in my team between now and the end of the season? Possibly when I free hit, but not in my normal team. Saying that, this is a big accept. Like, he's $1 million cheaper than Trent, and he's outperforming Trent. Trent's not playing poorly. He's still clocking up good numbers, but Robbo is absolutely smashing it. We're seeing him on 50% of the set pieces as well, which we didn't see a few months back when Trent was on the vast majority of them. He just seems to be turning it on, and he kind of does this at the end of the season quite often, Robertson. Like, I look back to when they won the Champions League, and this at a time of year, and he just turned it on for the final month. Like, he's a real winner, isn't he?
Yeah.
What I would say about Robbo, you've probably already got Trent, you've probably already got Salah. If you do go Robertson, it does stop you having that fun 1 week or 2 week punt on, say, a Diaz. And I think Diaz, I just want 1 week of Diaz where I know he's going to start, and perhaps Liverpool have a double. And remember, they've got a double coming up in 36. And I think Diaz could be a whole load of fun for that. But yeah, look, Robertson's the safe pick for sure, and I'd accept him.
Yeah, his goal, I reckon, it's one of the biggest goals we've seen in any league so far this season. Like, it felt like such a moment, such a relief. Yeah. Like, the limbs around Anfield was unreal when that moment happened. John says, except unbelievable fitness levels. Yeah, absolutely true. Liverpool corners came from the left side more lately, which Robbo is the one taking it. Yeah, fair enough. Just looking back through his points recently, 15 this game week, obviously. 6 the week before when Liverpool smashed Man United. He got 6 recently too when they beat Watford. 12 before that when they beat Arsenal. 6 before that. 6 before that. 13 before. Like, it's consistent. Like, at least 6 points there most of the time. Yeah, he's got to be an accept, no doubt about it. Right, let's move on to the midfield. It seems that most people are happy to have him in their team. The midfielder, and this is an interesting one. It splits opinion. He had a pretty good weekend. James Ward-Prowse. He knows how to save his team. He knows how to be the man of the moment. But is he an FPL asset?
It's funny because he's got more points this season than Bruno. Like, he's got more points than all those Man City midfielders that we bring in at a similar, that are more expensive. But you can never predict his hauls because he relies so heavily on set pieces. He can score, which direct free kicks included, pens included. He can get those against the big boys. So when he plays Chelsea at Stamford Bridge and you think I might bench Ward-Prowse, well, he's just as likely to haul in that game as he is when he plays Crystal Palace next week. So it's so difficult to predict those hauls that when you buy James Ward-Prowse, you have to stick with him. He's someone you buy at the start of the season and you say that 5th midfielder spot, that 4th midfielder spot, that's JWP's, and I'm sticking with him. Come rain or shine, he's not someone that you can bring in, bring out, and predict the hauls. 1, because his club aren't predictable, and 2, because he relies so heavily on set pieces. So look, it's too late to bring him in now. He's not got doubles. But next season, just like every season, he's a very reliable asset, and you've just got to hold him long term.
Yeah, that seems about fair enough. That's a nice description that FPL River says. Reject. Mohamed's brought in JWP last week and was gutted. Benched him this week. Good news, though, he's coming off the bench for Iheanacho. Perfect late sub, that is. Absolutely perfect. Tiffany says, just start him in game week 1 and the points will tick on. Yeah, it's so hard, isn't it, to be loyal to someone like that? Sometimes patience really would pay off. I'm almost tempted to set 2 teams into the league next season. One is one that I just set and forget, and I'm just confident that these would be great picks. And just check back on it halfway through the season, and then at the end of the season, and just see how it compares to like all the dilly-dallying that you do throughout the season, all the hours of lost sleep that you have. How would it turn out? Obviously, you'd have to go back and change for injuries, but apart from that,
you just have to captain Salah every week.
Yeah,
set on captain.
Salah, set in players that typically do well. Where would you end up ranking? I mean, obviously, you wouldn't quite end up as high as you do end up, but I reckon I'd have been better off for sure this season.
Yeah, there's 2 teams in the top 10k at the moment, so higher rank than me, and they've used 0 chips, which makes me think both those teams were probably set up at the start of the season, haven't been touched.
Yeah, someone's just
they've both got better ranks than I've. Like Ward-Prowse, just looking, 143 points. That's more than Bruno, Maddison, Mahrez, Sterling, Gallagher. All these players have been popular at one point or another. Ward-Prowse just ticks along.
Yeah, what a player. Final one. Let's go to a striker, forward, whatever you want to call him. Gabby Jesus. Was that a one-off? Accept, reject, delay. What would you be doing with Gabby Jesus if you were offered him right this second?
If City had tons of games 2 times a week, every week between now and the end of the season, I'd consider him for Premier League, thinking he might miss Champions League games. Try and second guess Pep when you can. But looking at that fixture schedule, I really don't think he gets much games. I think he'll be an impact sub. I think he might start 1 or 2 maximum. Like, he did a job. We saw him do a great job when he played Liverpool, I think it was, when he played on the right, scored the equaliser. Was that Liverpool game? I can't remember. But
yeah, it was. Yeah.
It was, wasn't it? He scored on the half volley. But for me, no, he's probably not in that Man City best 11. Now, that best 11 is very hard to call. But if you think the first choice front three is some sort of combination that involves Foden, probably Mahrez, maybe a Sterling or a Grealish, but not both of them. I don't think Jesus is in that, or Bernardo Silva if he's in the 9 slot, as I think he will be in the Champions League. So he just doesn't get in that strongest 11. And with that said, I think he's a reject.
Yeah, I mean, look, City have got Newcastle at home and Villa at home still to come. I guess, like, if City do make it to the Champions League final, maybe there's more chance of Gabby Jesus getting Premier League minutes under his belt. Pep does find good use for him. Like in that Liverpool game, for example, he knew he needed to get behind the fullbacks. He knew that Jesus would carry out instructions well. He knows that he could play centrally or wide forward. He is a really interesting player, Gabby Jesus. And I actually kind of want him to leave Man City to see just where his career would go from here. Like, what is he capable of if he played every single week? JP says reject, too risky and still too pricey. Eddie says if he gets the games always rotated in Pep roulette. Nuclear says we can't be dealing with this silly roulette now. Yeah, that's true. Chef says think he will be leaving the club. If leaving the club, he'll get game time. Yeah, I mean, it's a big decision for Jesus. He's had this decision to make for about the last 3 years, though.
Yeah.
He always ends up staying. I mean, his contract's obviously eventually going to run out, but ultimately, I think he really likes it in Manchester. I think he really likes being part of this Man City team. And while Pep's there, it is probably a pretty good place to be. Here you go, was one for you. Eddie says, do you think Rafinha will score tonight? You've had him since game week 1.
I reckon he's got a very good chance of an attack in return tonight. I think Palace look like they've lost a bit of confidence. I think the FA Cup defeat to Chelsea kind of felt like their season end. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Rafinha pop up. It's a huge game for Leeds because they are in fear of being in that conversation of going down should they not win tonight.
Yeah, it's funny because last 2 days I keep hearing like, oh, it's a massive game for Leeds. I'm like, is it? Like, are they really back in it? It caught me a little bit like blindsided. Like, didn't really consider that this was going to be a massive game, but I guess it is if they lose.
Yeah,
because of those fixtures they've got coming up. Like
Robbie Savage on 5 Live yesterday said to Chris Sutton, "It's impossible for Leeds to go down now. It's impossible." And then he went, "Rob, look at the table," and he went, "Oh, they're not on 36 points, they're on 33 points." I thought they were... And then he went, "Okay, I take it all back. Maybe they are."
I don't know why. It just felt like
they were safe.
Was so good, but they got an extra 5 points because they looked so much better.
So true. Dean, what would you do with Son? Chef FPL, keep Son or sell? It's a tough one.
I mean, because it's Leicester, because they might collapse this weekend, it probably is worth keeping him. After this week, I think I would get rid of him. But yeah for the Leicester game, just keep him because there's always that chance that the Son and Kane combination hits 5 goals.
Leicester are going to be tired as well, remember, guys. It's wedged right in between both their games.
Team,
or a B team, even better. Yeah. Michael, thoughts on Richarlison? Lots of games. Is he on? Yeah, he's on pens. It is a lot of games. He is the talisman, but he just looks short, doesn't he?
One, is he?
He's not. They miss DCL so much. I think if DCL's in the team, Richarlison isn't the focal point, but he still becomes a better FPL option because he can play off him.
Even when Richarlison's scoring at the moment, they're just like such scruffy goals.
Yeah.
Missing good chances. I think he's leaving at the end of the season no matter what happens.
Yeah. Go Gordon. Gordon. If you do want an Everton player, save
they might start getting deducted points if he keeps diving. Brentford assets as differentials. I mean, people have been telling us to get Ivan Toney for weeks, and neither of us did it. We should have done that.
Yeah, he hit the woodwork a couple of times, didn't he, Ivan Toney, against Spurs? But look, I think Eriksen to finish on a high, you wouldn't be surprised to see him put up some numbers. From memory, though, the fixtures are okay, but they don't have a double. And again, like, especially if you're not on chips, you could bring in like a Leicester or a Villa player. these guys have like 6 games left versus some like Brentford that have 4. It's a big difference there when you're talking about these mid-table teams. So for me, I'm swerving just based on the fact they don't have those juicy doubles. It's United up next, Southampton, Everton, Leeds. It's not a bad run of games, but it's still no doubles.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, that is a good point.
Game week 35 is a tough one for captaincy, John. We've not actually discussed captaincy this week. Like the moment my captain armband's on, before thinking about it, I've got it on Kane because I like the Leicester game. But I feel like if you're not going Salah this week away at Newcastle, then it feels like most of the other options are differential. So I would say Harry Kane at home to Leicester, who could be tired or put out a B team, is an option. We don't have any doubles in 35. So, I mean, you could go really rogue and back a Watkins or a Coutinho against Norwich, but that's really out there. Any tips from you, Dean, on captaincy?
Like you say, it is probably the last week when you'll be able to like just pick someone different if you want to and not worry too much about it, like you say, because there's no one's going to catch you up with a double. The fixture list is a bit weird though. It's not really jumping out at me as anyone that's going to take this one by storm. Let's just have a quick figure. I can find one. Coutinho is tempting because he is due a big game.
Yeah, he is. And Norwich have been all over the place.
Man City away at Leeds. It could be a De Bruyne week. It could be a De Bruyne.
If I bring Foden in, which I think I will be tempted to captain him, depending on how he plays in the champs. But as always, I'll have the fear of, does he start? But I've been so confident on this stream that he does.
I just can see City winning that. Like, no matter what happens to Leeds tonight, that could be a 3 or 4-0 for Man City.
Yeah.
Really could be.
Yeah, seeing them at the weekend, they were brutal. Alistair, last question of the night, guys. Thank you all for watching. We've got a question on Arsenal. Saka, who's been phenomenal, to Martinelli, who's been benched a lot to free up cash. Don't do it. Look, unless Saka's injured, and then that increases Martinelli's starts, and you have to sell him because he's not playing. But he's flagged at the moment. Wait for the press conference. I'm sure he'll be fine. He's on penalties with Lacazette off the pitch.
Yeah,
you can't sell Saka.
Yeah, get back on Saka. Like, Saka. I was pleased. Like when he was, I was funny because of that pair. And like I had De Gea and I had Saka. So I was like, okay, we'll just watch this one play out. I was really pleased to see him score. Like, I just want good things for Saka. Not an Arsenal fan at all. I just want good things for Saka.
He's the nicest bloke as well, it seems.
Yeah, like the whole penalty thing in the summer, like he's bounced back from it. Seems such a lovely bloke. I just want good things for him. So get back on Saka. He's going to have a good end to the season.
Yeah, I'm with Dean there, Alistair. Do see if you can reverse the mistake. There's no shame in it. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Look, it's Monday Night Football. I'm sure in the next couple of minutes you'll all be flicking on the TV to check out Rafinha and Mateta and guys like that. Before you go, though, guys, if you can, just give us a thumbs up. It helps more people see the channel. And look, we'll be back up Friday at 7 p.m. Do hit the subscribe button as well. So thank you from me. Thanks from Dean. And we'll see you guys soon.